Hello everyone, a short video here. This video claims to show the destruction of another HIMARS, but there's quite a lot wrong with the video which makes me think this is a decoy, but opinion online is split. The HIMARS is just sitting there, out of the open near some dead trees when a missile impacts an area. The missile does miss, but check out the shrapnel shred. If this was a HIMARS, it would certainly have taken shrapnel damage from this. So, I wouldn't call this a miss. It's a miss in the same way as a HIMARS tungsten rocket misses. It may technically miss the target, but it's certainly going to shred it. So, why do people think that this is a fake? Well, first of all, and this is the most compelling evidence for me, check out the front of a HIMARS. The angles are all too straight at the sides. Here it is compared with another HIMARS photo. You can see the cab just looks completely different. It could be a trick of the light, of course, making it look straighter than it is, or the angle of the drone, or just the fact it's not very clear footage. But to me, this looks like a truck done up to look like a HIMARS launcher. Secondly, its location. Why would a HIMARS be kept out in the open like this? These are shoot and scoot weapons. Fire the rockets and then move away as soon as possible. Not fire the rockets and then sit around posing for photos. It is possible that it broke down, but if that was the case, then given the time between it being observed and then hit, I'm sure we would have seen signs of that. Recovery vehicles or engineers on the scene. This also doesn't look like the typical HIMARS firing point. They're usually fired from roads. Could it be the HIMARS hiding spot? I don't think so. If Ukraine was hiding a HIMARS, I think they would actually make an effort to hide it, not put it in a barren wood where anybody can see it. Finally, no tyre marks, but if the ground is hard, then I expect there wouldn't be. So I wouldn't say that's conclusive evidence, but to me, there's certainly a lot going on here which makes it look like a fake. Now, in favour of it being real, you can see movement at the side of a launcher in the first drone feed, which people say is the crew. But Russia's drone cameras are so bad, it's impossible to tell if that is actually a crew member fiddling about, the wind blowing some sort of debris or whatever that's next to the HIMARS, a person walking his dog or what. It's impossible to tell. You can't even tell if it actually is a person or again just some sort of debris or material caught in the trees. Now the strike itself. Some say the lack of ammo cook-off and lack of fire means it's a fake. That isn't entirely true. We've seen grads get hit by shrapnel type munitions, and whilst certainly damaged and shredded, there hasn't been a cook-off or a fire. And if it was empty, of course, then there wouldn't be anything to cook off. Well, that brings us to the big question. If this was empty, why was it left in an empty field? So here's its location. It was located in the tree line here. This was facing towards the left of the screen. This is west, which is more evidence that this was a decoy HIMARS. So zoomed out, you can see that this is not far from Zaporizhia. The HIMARS was facing towards Zaporizhia itself, another tick in the fake column, because if this was a HIMARS that had just engaged Russian positions, and this was its firing spot, why would it be facing in that direction, which is Ukrainian controlled? And as I mentioned earlier, this wasn't a hiding spot. No way would Ukraine hide a HIMARS whilst making zero attempt to actually hide it. So this had to be its firing spot, and yet its firing spot was aiming towards Zaporizhia. Another argument though in favour of being legit is its range here. It is actually where we would expect a HIMARS to be in order to hit the targets of Russia's which are out of range of regular artillery, SAM systems, deployment points, repair workshops, longer range MLRS systems and the like. So the range here does fit. But I just think there's too much going against it. Its position, the lack of attempt to hide it, and most importantly, the shape of the cabin, all point to this being a decoy HIMARS. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it interesting, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether it's a decoy or a real one in the comments. Before we finish, a quick mention about the ongoing fundraiser for Rebirth Energy, which is to buy a buggy for Ukraine's armed forces. The donation links are in the description. Thanks very much, and take care everybody.